The air in Moscow hangs thick and cold, even for a September night. It's well past 2 a.m., a time when the city's grand boulevards are usually surrendered to street sweepers and solitude. But here, on a dimly lit side street just off Tverskaya, something unusual is happening. Unmarked lorries, mud-splattered and anonymous, are backing up to the rear entrance of Dom Nigi, one of the capital's oldest and most revered bookstores. There's a quiet efficiency to the work. Pallets wrapped in black plastic are being offloaded with surprising speed. I watch from across the street, the steam from my breath clouding the view. The men doing the unloading don't speak. They just point, lift, and haul. This scene, I'm told, is repeating itself at bookshops all across the country. St. Petersburg, Vladivostok, a silent, nocturnal invasion of paper and ink. What they are unloading is, on the surface, innocuous. Books, specifically Japanese books. Thousands of them. I managed to get a closer look at one of the discarded shipping manifests earlier. It listed titles ranging from dense academic histories of the Kamakura period to colorful manga and light novels. The sheer volume is staggering. This isn't a specialist order for a university or niche cultural club. This is a deluge, a coordinated nationwide distribution of literature that, until a few months ago, had only a marginal following in Russia. I approached one of the drivers during a brief pause. He was a burly man with a weary face, his breath smelling of cheap cigarettes and strong tea.
When I asked him where the shipment originated, he just shrugged. Don't know, don't ask, he muttered in gruff Russian.
Someone with very deep pockets and a very clear agenda is orchestrating this, waiting for the morning and the crowds that will inevitably come for it. When the doors open at 10 a.m., the scene is one of controlled chaos. People pour through the doors, young, old, students in fashionable tracksuits, pensioners in worn wool coats. They move with a singular purpose towards the newly erected displays marked with the Japanese flag. I speak with Elena, the store manager, a woman who's worked here 30 years.
I've never seen anything like it. Not for Tolstoy. Not for Dostoevsky. We get the delivery at night, and by noon we are half sold out.
The sales data she shows me is almost nonsensical. A 5,000% increase in just 3 months. The demand is so intense that a secondary market has sprung up. People buying 5, 10 copies at a time, then reselling them on Telegram channels for double the price. I interview a young man named Alexei, a university student. He has a stack of 6 books in his arms.
It's important to be prepared, to understand a different way of thinking.
His answer is vague, almost rehearsed, a response I hear again and again. The phenomenon extends far beyond Moscow. I connect by video call with booksellers in Yekaterinburg, Novosibirsk. A bookseller in Vladivostok says it's even more intense there. They are coming over the border in fishing boats, he claims. Not just official shipments, people are smuggling them. Contraband in 2025 isn't microfilm or weapon schematics. It's paperback novels and poetry anthologies. The sheer scale defies simple explanation. It's not just a fad. This feels deeper, more organized, more urgent. They queue for hours. They pay inflated prices. They speak in hushed, knowing tones. They are all part of a movement. But if you ask them what it is, they point to the books. The answer, they seem to believe, is somewhere inside, hidden within the complex characters and vertical script. What could possibly be driving this? The most obvious theory, a sudden massive interest in learning Japanese. I visit language schools across Moscow. No spike in enrollment. The people buying these books aren't necessarily trying to learn to read them traditionally. I begin to explore more esoteric theories. Online forums full of speculation. Late-night chat rooms where anonymity breeds wild ideas. One theory, these books contain banned information or hidden history. In a country tightening control over media, Japanese texts may offer an unfiltered window. I spend an evening with self-described cypherpunks. They believe the state embeds tracking software in domestic digital media. These physical foreign language books are a way to share information off-grid. Another theory, a secret society is involved. Online forums whisper of the Sakura Club. The books as initiation tools. The most disturbing rumor? The books contain hidden messages or codes. I found a forum thread analyzing sales patterns. The analysis claims correlation with freight trains and naval ships. The idea, the books themselves are irrelevant. What matters is which titles are sold in which cities on which days. A public broadcast system hiding in plain sight. A bookseller in Kaliningrad found a tiny, almost invisible mark stamped inside a cover. The next day, the book was gone, bought by a man who paid in cash and said nothing. To understand a modern mystery, you have to follow the digital trail. I enlist the help of a London-based data analyst. She specializes in tracking online information flows. We turn to the Russian-language internet, Vkontakte, Telegram, obscure forums. What we find isn't one central source. It's a decentralized network of influencers and anonymous accounts. They don't issue direct orders. Instead, they post aesthetic photos of Japanese book covers, quotes from samurai philosophy, serene images of Zen gardens. The messaging is subtle, almost subliminal. It's about discipline, honor, the beauty of a complex ancient culture. The visual language is incredibly consistent, a highly curated, romanticized vision of Japan. Chloe calls it weaponized aesthetics. They aren't selling ideology with words. They're creating a feeling, an emotional pull, making people fall in love with an idea of Japan. The books become the physical manifestation of that idea. Brilliant soft power propaganda, but anonymous. We find a key hub, a Telegram channel, the Path of the Brush, Putkisti. Over 2 million subscribers, growing rapidly. The admin is anonymous. Posts are simple, a book title, a cover, a single enigmatic sentence. Example under Kawabata, beauty can be a shield. Under a modern thriller, the greatest enemy is the one you do not see. Thousands debate these phrases in the comments. They read the books as manuals for life, strategy guides. The chilling part, Chloe cross-references promoted titles with a database of out-of-print Japanese books. Many must-have titles are obscure and out of print for decades. No logical reason for publishers to reprint and export them en masse. Unless the content isn't the point. Someone is choosing specific books, manufacturing demand, and running a sophisticated multi-platform campaign. This isn't a grassroots cultural trend. It's an influence operation of breathtaking scope and sophistication. The geopolitical landscape of 2025 is a fractured one. Alliances are shifting. Tensions between historic adversaries are in constant flux. For decades, the two nations have been locked in dispute over the Kuril Islands. It's a wound that has never healed. No formal peace treaty. Officially, relations are cool, handled through stiff diplomatic channels. Yet beneath this frosty surface, something else appears to be happening. While Western nations have largely isolated Russia with sanctions, this sudden cultural import suggests a back channel is being opened. Is Japan deliberately trying to win hearts and minds, bypassing the Kremlin? A grand soft power gesture to build goodwill? By exporting a romanticized culture, Japan could be creating a generation of Russophiles. Russians reading Japanese books in cafes and subways, ancient traditions, melancholy stoicism. However, the secrecy suggests it might not be an official government initiative. I speak to a former diplomat. He is skeptical. Tokyo is cautious and bureaucratic, he tells me over a secure line. An operation this slick, this covert, this aggressive, it feels like a powerful non-state actor. A corporation, perhaps, or a private consortium of influential figures. This cultural bridge is being built under the world's nose. While news focuses on military posturing and economic sanctions, a quiet flood of paperbacks is a different front. It's a battle for influence. Not tanks, not missiles, but poetry and graphic novels. The implications are enormous. If a foreign power can manipulate cultural consumption at scale, it becomes a new tool in international relations. A way to sidestep governments and speak directly to a population, one book at a time. The question remains, who is the architect of this bridge? The breakthrough comes from a source I never expected, a whistleblower, not from a government agency, but from inside one of Japan's largest paper manufacturing corporations. They detail a clandestine project codenamed Yamato Protocol. It's a privately funded, multi-billion yen initiative spearheaded by a consortium of Japanese industrialists. Their stated goal is audacious: to culturally re-engineer the Russian consumer base, and, by extension, its future political alignment. The memos are chillingly corporate. Market penetration, demographic capture, long-term ideological investment. Russia, the documents argue, is culturally adrift, cut off from the West and searching for a new identity. The Yamato Protocol is designed to fill that void. Discipline, collective honor, aesthetic beauty. This affinity will translate into tangible gains within a decade, creating a pro-Japan populace that will pressure for friendlier policies. The choice of books is no accident. The consortium's research identified key psychological vulnerabilities in the target demographic. For a populace feeling disenfranchised, they selected stories about lone ronin and determined heroes. For those nostalgic for greatness, epic histories of Japan's imperial past, manga and light novels designed to be visually appealing and emotionally resonant, creating positive associations from a young age. The most shocking part is its sheer arrogance and scale. Acquisition of printing presses, creation of shell corporations. They had mapped out the entire operation, from nocturnal deliveries to the talking points for the kids in the queues. The strange symbols were quality control markers, used to track batches and measure geographic spread. It was never about secret codes. The books themselves were the message, a corporate takeover of a nation's soul. The discovery of the Yamato Protocol changes everything. This isn't just a quirky cultural trend. It's a new front in a global power struggle, a silent, undeclared war fought with paper and ink. In an age concerned about digital disinformation, this represents a far more subtle form of influence. It's not about feeding people lies, it's about changing how they see the world. It bypasses rational argument and targets something far more fundamental: cultural identity. What does this mean for the world? The battlefield for global influence is expanding. If Japanese industrialists can do this to Russia, what's to stop other actors from trying the same elsewhere? Could a nation's values be reshaped by mass import of films, music, literature on a scale designed to overwhelm native culture? It raises uncomfortable questions about cultural sovereignty and free choice. The people believe they are making personal choices, discovering new interests. But their choice has been manufactured for them, their path of discovery paved by a corporate strategy document. The Russian government remains publicly silent. Perhaps they see it as a useful distraction. But the Yamato Protocol is planting seeds in the minds of a generation. By the time those seeds bear fruit, it may be too late. The new Cold War may not be fought with spies or soldiers, but with poets, illustrators, artists, and storytellers. The truth is that the battle for your mind has already begun, whether you know it or not.